back. China and the Communist Party continuing its military harassment of Taiwan, invading the island's airspace and waters multiple times just in the last week in what has become almost a daily occurrence. Despite the threat of force, Taiwan's president told Pope Francis in a letter that war with China is not an option. Joining me right now on the threat China poses to global security is the former Secretary of State. He is Fox News contributor Mike Pompeo. And Secretary, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
Maria, thanks for having me on this morning. I appreciate it.
You are out with a new book titled Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. And I love the title because that's exactly what you did as Secretary of State, not give an inch. What is the synopsis of this book? Why title it Never Give an Inch?
Goodness, you know, Maria, you and I have spoken a lot about all the challenges America faced from abroad. We've talked about how Ronald Reagan had it right with peace through strength. And the idea of never giving an inch is the central thesis of how you secure America, how you make our nation more prosperous, how you give the next generation this same set of opportunities. You know, we talk about China. If you're afraid to enforce the rule set, if you continue to allow them to walk on the American economy, if you keep giving an inch in every space, Maria, they'll be inside the gates here in the United States. And frankly, that's what we face today. And for 4 years during my time as CIA Director and Secretary of State, I never gave an inch.
Well, I mean, that's the point. You know, we have now this document scandal, and we don't know if the Chinese Communist Party has viewed any of these classified documents. We don't know what they are because the Director of National Intelligence will not allow the Senate Intelligence Committee to even have access to these documents. How much of a national security risk is this?
It's crazy, Maria. We've now had several senior leaders, certainly President Biden included, who had documents where they weren't supposed to be. Get them back. Get these documents where they're supposed to be. And then transparency matters. I heard Senator Cruz say this. We need to know what's in those documents, what the seriousness of them is, what potential breaches there are. And then finally, these senior leaders need to own this. We need to find out if the Chinese Communist Party actually may have had access at the University of Pennsylvania, where President Biden clearly had documents. It would have been a pretty open space. And Maria, you and I have talked about this for years. The Chinese Communist Party is inside every major American university today with research dollars and with their students. They're at the University of Pennsylvania, too. And we now know that this Chinese money, these Chinese officials met classified documents in that space. They were in the same place. We need to know if there's any risk they might have gotten a hold of them.
Right, and they've canceled the China initiative, which, of course, you used to announce a string of indictments. People from the head of the chemistry department at Harvard to others. You closed down the Houston embassy because of the surveillance and the spying going on and the theft of intellectual property. How is it possible that Penn, the University of Pennsylvania, was actually able to lobby this president to shut down the China initiative?
Now, Maria, there's so many questions about why President Biden hasn't continued to pursue a confrontational approach with the Chinese Communist Party that will protect the American people. You mentioned, and in Never Give an Inch I write about, they were running an espionage operation, the Chinese Communist Party, from inside the consulate in Houston, Texas, the Chinese diplomatic facility in Texas. The largest spy operation in the history of the United States, I think. We closed it down, and it was part of a broader program that was being worked at the Justice Department, at the State Department, all of which was aimed at protecting Americans from them stealing billions of dollars of intellectual property and destroying millions and millions of American jobs and then dumping this product back in our country. It was indecent. We allowed it to go on for 40 years, and sadly the Biden administration's back to where we were before the Trump administration was in office.
Which is why we constantly ask if he is compromised. I'm also noticing all of these favors done. I mean, the former head of Penn, Amy Gutmann, is now the ambassador to Germany. The other piece is that the chairman of the board of Penn, when the Biden Center was set up, David Cohen, is now the ambassador to China. So, I mean, he's given these people jobs. Victoria Coates tweeted out this. Curious to know what role our ambassador to Germany, former UPenn president Amy Gutmann, played in getting Biden to cave to Olaf on the tanks for Ukraine.
Oh, Maria, you raised so many questions there that deserve answers. The fact that the intelligence community and the Justice Department are now denying Congress the capacity to investigate these very questions. Just ask the questions, get to the bottom of it, figure out what happened, who knew what, who saw what. Maria, the Chinese Communist Party is running a massive propaganda campaign using TikTok, and we have someone who's in the House of Representatives Adam Schiff, now announcing he's going to run for the United States Senate on TikTok, a Chinese propaganda arm and something, a tool, a tech tool that they're using to steal secrets from the United States and our kids. This is crazy. We ought to ban TikTok, and we should get serious in every dimension. The risk of these classified documents, we need to find out the relationship between Hunter Biden and China and President Biden. All of these things are connected. And it's not about people. This isn't about being punitive. This is about doing the fundamental things that protect the American people.
I mean, we know that Adam Schiff lied for 4 years, telling us that there was Russia collusion with Trump in plain sight. Now he wants to run for the Senate. Should this guy get another chance in a lawmaking leading position after misleading the American people, dividing the country so much?
So, Maria, I served with Adam Schiff in the House of Representatives on the Intelligence Committee. And then I had to deal with him when he was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee when I was a CI director.
Right.
Adam Schiff lied to the American people. He kept promising there'll be Russian collusion. Just wait. There's documents. There's stuff. I know this because I occupy this special place. I'm a member of the Gang of Eight that sees the most sensitive classified information. I'm going to share this with you someday. We now know that was all a lie. We know, and we know that he knew that it was a lie. It was fundamentally indecent. Speaker McCarthy made the absolute right decision not to permit him to be on the Intelligence Committee. He will protect America. Kevin McCarthy protected America by making that very decision. And I hope the good people of California will be smarter than to send someone who doesn't know how to handle classified information, who lied to America for at least 2.5 years, won't send him back to the United States Senate, but rather let him go on and get a different job in life.
Real quick, Secretary, before you go, we're all expecting you to run for the president for 2024. Are you about ready to make that announcement soon?
Maria, not this morning, but Susan and I are praying, trying to figure our way through that. In the coming months, we'll make that decision. And if we conclude this is the right thing to present our case, make our arguments about how to protect America and grow our economy, we'll get after it. You'll see us in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina.
Secretary, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much. Former Secretary of State, former CIA Director, and Kansas Congressman Mike Pompeo. Be sure to tune in tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fox News for the premiere of Never Give an Inch, based on Secretary Pompeo's new book. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.